you know, when you change the way you think, because ultimately the reason why people end up doing the same thing and ultimately getting the same result, because it's madness to do the same thing and think you should get different results. The problem is because you've not changed the way you've been thinking to ultimately result into different actions for you to come now to result into different outcomes. So hey guys, welcome to Tickzon, where we try to turn our hindsight into your foresight. Ugo here, and welcome to the video. And today I'm going to talk to you about the power of thoughts. Now, I had a thought in my head about telling you and let you understand the power of thoughts. And straight into it, you know, like when we were kids, and I think for most of us, you can think about it. If you look at a little kid, and it's like you remember, like you're playing cops and robbers. Like I remember, like when I was playing with my friends, when I thought we're out here doing ninjutsu out here, when I was moving like I was Naruto, nine-tail fox punch, I really thought I was Naruto. When we were playing cops and robbers, in that moment, I was really the cop. I was really out here, that bang bang. When I was robbers, I was really running out here. When we pretended to be animals, like pretended to be a frog. I was really going, pretended to be a chicken. What you don't understand is that when you look at people in terms of, you tell a kid, oh yeah, today you're a superhero, and he's really flying. He really jumped off the bed like he was Superman. For those of us who remember the WWE days, I mean, it's still about, but you remember the Rey Mysterios and all that. Fam, when we were doing wrestling, we really believed that we were, we were Rey Mysterio, RVD, 4-star, frog splash. Even playing football, I remember like you be playing football, you'd be like, okay, I'm Ronaldo, you be doing the skills, you might make it 1 out of 100 times, but you, in that moment, you're like, wow! And all of these results in terms of what we do really comes down to our thoughts and how we see ourselves and what we think. So I think if you're those who to hip hop, I remember that, I forget the name of the song, I'll drop it in here if I remember, but I remember there was a line where he was like, the revolution will not be televised. And the idea that any revolution, any change that comes, it always starts with a thought, and it always starts with somebody else's thought. That's the reason why when they said the revolution will not be televised, it's because the revolution will start within your mind. So if you look at the ability for you to think, like, you have to understand that everything that happens around us, everything that that is in our life, is because somebody thought about it and then manifested that. And what you have to understand is that the way you move and the way you go around in your life is also a reflection of what you think. What you say is also a reflection of what you think. So sometimes when it comes to you changing the way you speak to others, changing the way you see yourself and all those kind of things, your problem isn't what you say, it's about what you think, in terms of, is that what you should be saying to yourself. So I'm going to use this small section of this before I go into the broader sense about talking about positive thinking and why what you say matters. Now, I'm somebody who, being principled is very important to me, and holding on to your word is very important. And I believe that you only say what you mean and try to mean what you say, in terms of, you say you're going to do A, do A. If your A turns to B, turns it to B. But in terms of how you also see yourself and how that manifests, is that when you tell yourself that you're a failure, or you won't make this, or you won't do this, you will actually see that manifest in how you move. Now, when you see somebody who believes they can do something, they move with a different kind of energy. They move with a different kind of outlook in life, in terms of saying, I can do this, like I can do this, like I go into this game and I'm really thinking I can do this. But when you see that, you start doubting yourself. That's the reason why when you look at footballers or all these kind of things, people are thinking about, what's the confidence about? What do people talk about confidence? They can't be giving you bare money to just go and kick ball. No, but the thing about confidence and how you see yourself is that when you bring in self-doubt into yourself, it really changes the way you perform. And you can see yourself that when you're confident, when you're happy, and you believe that you can achieve what you want to achieve, then it shows. But you now have to understand that what you think about yourself really and truly manifests in what you do. So what am I talking about in terms of positive thinking? You know, I'm a very big firm believer, not just about positive affirmations, but positive thought about how you see yourself, looking yourself in the mirror and saying, yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I did bad in this, but I can do better. In the sense of that, don't think ill of yourself, because you might not talk about it. The affirmation part is not my problem, but what you think about yourself, it really will will manifest in terms of how you actually see your outlook in life. So take time to sit down and actually think positive about yourself and think, yes, I can do this. And in the beginning you might not fully believe it, but it's only when you say it multiple times to yourself and start to put that into practice, because the whole idea is that you take your thoughts, you process it, and then you manifest it into action. So when you start thinking about it, you should start doing things in manifesting that looks like you can do it. So if I look at it in the broader sense about, you know, thought and why that's so powerful, and why that is so, you know, crazy, is that, you know, when you look at, you know, in the past, when it comes to like both in terms of dictatorships, both in terms of systems of control and stuff like that, they typically understood that they didn't have to do too much. There's a reason for social engineering, there's a reason for propaganda, there's a reason for all these things, and there's a reason why, you know, the whole idea is that, you know, you don't really need to do much in controlling your population, and you don't have to do much in keeping your a certain people down, or keeping people in check, if you control the way they think, by controlling their media, by controlling the way they see themselves, by using propaganda, by, you know, that's even if you look back in the days of slavery, that's the reason why people not being educated helped keep them as slaves, because their whole point was them to stop them from being free thinkers, to think there's an alternative, because they now presented you with the options that you will now be there. So if they can control the way you think, then they'll ultimately control your results, and they don't have to do too much, because the system is already in place to control how you think. Now, how you break off of that is by you understanding that the power of your thoughts, and then from that, how your thoughts manifest into reality to change your situation. And, you know, you might feel like you're something that you can't get out, but you need to look at yourself and now think, okay, how can I get out of this? You know, you look at things that we look at today as gospel, we look at today as golden, we look at today as you know, what it is, in terms of, from, like, you know, you shout human rights. Somebody thought about, oh, maybe human beings should have rights, constitution. Somebody thought we should have a constitution. Somebody thought we should have like politics. Somebody thought we should have leaders. Somebody thought about all these random things that we see today. And in a sense, when you take that into your own life, you have to understand that every change that you want to do starts with a thought, and your thought is so unique to yourself. So even when you see your power of your thoughts, some of you downplay your thoughts by thinking, oh, I've had this idea, so somebody else has had this idea. No. Listen, do you deep that when we had the wheel, but we had square wheels as well. We had triangle wheels. Like chairs weren't always four legs. Loads of different people brought loads of different ideas to it. So what's my point of this? The power of thought is so amazing, that, you know, you can start with a dream, you can start with a manifestation, you can start with a random idea. Some of the things, you know, that we use today, like you know, some of the things that we use today weren't even its original intention, but somebody came with a thought and think, you know what, maybe we should go to the moon. Yeah, maybe that should go to the moon. Maybe we should do some community something. You know what, maybe we should race. You know what, maybe we should, you know, or maybe we should start a streaming platform and just put random videos on there. Like, people, everything that we see today started with a random thought, and the truth of the matter is, you don't know how far the thoughts that you have can take you, or how that will change. And I'm not even just talking about this in terms of an innovation point of view. I'm talking both in terms of an interpersonal point of view, in terms of how you see your life and how you stretch to where you want to go. So when you have ideas and you have these thoughts, don't just put it down. You know, process it and try your best to bring it to realization, because ultimately the reason why we're all unique is because all your ideas are unique, and you might have a similar idea to somebody else, but what the spin you guys bring it that makes it so unique that you guys' perspective, it actually needs to be there. So what am I saying? Have I said that many times? But your power of your thoughts is ultimately what will change your life. So if you don't like the way you are, the way you look, the way your life is, the way you're going, you need to change the way you think. If you don't like the way you're handling your money, you need to change the way you think about money. If you don't like the way you're school is going, you need to change the way you think about school. If you don't like the way your career is going, you need to change the way you think about how life and career should be. If you don't like the way your family is, you need to change the way you're thinking about how family dynamics should be. Or if you don't like the way you're solving problems, you need to change the way you think about how to solve problems. You know, when you change the way you think, because ultimately the reason why people end up doing the same thing and ultimately getting the same result, because it's madness to do the same thing and think you should get different results. The problem is because you've not changed the way you've been thinking to ultimately result into different actions for you to come now to result into different outcomes. So if you change the way you think about a certain situation, the way you think about life, and even when you grow on and you move on to the way you think, don't forget that the things that you thought before could work for something in the future. But if it's not working for what it is now, then you need to change the way you think about your life and your surroundings right now for you to end up changing your life. Listen, all of us have been down, all of us have been up, all of us have been fluctuating. Nobody stays at one certain state. Change is the only thing that is permanent. But for yourself, if you want change to be in a positive sense for your life, you need to understand A, the power of thought, B, the ability to change the way you think and manifest that into actions that change quantitatively and not just qualitatively into your life. And ultimately, yeah, you change your life. You may have to reset the way you think. And I know people don't understand this, but it is probably one of the most difficult things you will do is to change the way you think, to control your mind. Because let's be honest, I could throw a random thing in there, say, oh, what would you do if you see somebody robbing somebody? You're already thinking about somebody robbing. What would you do if an apple fell on your head? Right now you just thought about an apple falling on your head. It's hard to control what you think, but then that's the reason why it's also important for you to understand what you consume. You know, when you're consuming a certain type of content, or you're reading a certain type of book, or you're entertaining certain types of situations, then it kind of shapes the way you think about certain things, because it's hard for you to put yourself in a silo or put yourself away from those things. So if you're not really seeing the way you want to think, consume different things, don't consume one particular thing. If you're conservative, you should be listening to liberal. If you're liberal, you want to be listening to conservative. All of the above to help your mind kind of stay in the floats for you to keep your original thoughts there. And ultimately, also, spend time with yourself. Spend time with yourself is probably the biggest opportunity for you to actually really understand who you are, what your thoughts are, and allow your thoughts to come through, because you need to let your brain have space. There's a difference between being alone and feeling alone, and you need to know the difference and understand spending time with yourself is the moments where you have to unleash the power that your thoughts have, because it may come to you boom, but you still need to process it. You still need to understand it for yourself before anybody can understand it with you. So your power of your thoughts is something for you to harness, process, and then share that to the world, because you're here for a reason. So this has been Tickzon Esteem. My name's been Ugo. Your name's been blessed. Hit the like button, subscribe, share this with somebody to understand that, listen, if you're watching this, I don't know how you're going to make my life better tomorrow, but I'm sure if you go with the force that you have, provided that they are positive to some extent, they'll probably have something positive for my life outcome. So thank you for helping change my life, and I hope that within the small minutes that I've taken of your life, I've helped to impact it a little bit better. And all that I can ask. Take care, bye, and don't forget to smile.